going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here for NXT on Off the Script. This is your official review for last night's show, Wednesday, October 16th, 2019. And I think that's where my enthusiasm for this show is really going to peak on this particular episode of Off the Script, man. I don't know what it is. I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. I actually put out a tweet. Now, I went about watching the show in a very different way. The past couple weeks, especially with AEW bursting onto the scene on TNT, I've been watching AEW on Wednesday night and only AEW on Wednesday night. I would watch AEW, work on the podcast, upload, and then as soon as I'm done with all my AEW work, I go back and watch NXT until I fall asleep very, very, very late in the evening, early morning. I didn't do that last night. 4 hours of wrestling in one single night is a lot to consume. I hate it on Sundays when WWE or AEW has a pay-per-view. I hate it even then. So I don't want to do it weekly with their basic television shows. Now, I went about watching NXT in the morning on Thursday morning. I woke up around 10 o'clock. Yes, I sleep late. That might be late to you. It's early to me. Woke up at 10 o'clock on DVR, fast-forwarded through all the commercials, got through NXT in about an hour and 20 minutes. And what I felt after the show was over was not really good. I don't know what it is. I'm the biggest NXT mark that there is in the community. I love NXT. I love everything about NXT. I think NXT is the best WWE show by leaps and bounds during the week. That's just my opinion. You might think otherwise. But I put out a tweet on Twitter this morning after I fully watched intently NXT from last night. I put out a tweet, and this is what I stated on my tweet. Another good show by NXT, but man, I gotta be honest with you guys. I miss the 1 hour format. I'm so over this Wednesday Night War bullshit. Yes, it has its pros and cons at being 2 hours, but I feel like we appreciated it so much more at 1 hour. Just my 2 cents. Now, I look at the thread, and I look at the feedback that I'm getting from you guys on this particular tweet, and a lot of you agree. Gonna read some of the tweets to you guys that are in agreement with me. Lorenzo says, big facts. I seen 3 matches that lasted about 8 minutes. Feels like Monday Night Raw. BK Kid says, it's still good, and that's all that matters. Plus, NXT has to evolve, like Hunter would say, as long as it's still good. I will be satisfied with 2 hours. At least Triple H knows what he's doing, unlike the old man. Yes, but you have to understand that something that is special in NXT, moving it to 2 hours, you start to lose appreciation. And the more that we see it, the less we're going to appreciate it. And a lot of filler goes into making a 2 hour show. They got to fill another extra hour when they didn't have to in the past. So you're going to be seeing talent that you're not really invested in. And are you ever going to get invested in that talent? I feel like at the 1 hour show, it was so much more of an important show because they had to build. They don't have to build. All they have to do is pick their spots on where they want to build, and the rest of the show could just be matches after matches after matches, filler after filler after filler. It's not really what I'm about. I love a great wrestling match. I don't mind watching a great wrestling show that is nothing but wrestling heavy. But at the end of the day, you feel unsatisfied. It's like you go to work and you're working on strictly commission, and you go to work and you sell nothing, and you come home without a dime in your pocket at the end of the week. That's what I feel like. NXT is moving away from what brought them to the dance, what made them so special and unique, and that is the good storytelling that they were all about. I'm not getting that sense anymore with NXT. Angelo says, I think part of the reason people are liking NWA Power is because they are 1 hour, and that 1 hour is filling the void that NXT right now at this current state is leaving behind. I have not watched one episode of NWA Power yet. I have to get on board. Everybody says so many good things about it. I want to see what the hype is all about. I've seen nothing but clips, so bear with me on that. M. Miller says, agreed, my friend. NXT was special then. It feels way different now. Lupo says, I wish they were all on different nights. I hate having to watch both at the same time. You and me both, man. JB Strip 2008 says, I agree. The 1 hour format was great because it wasn't overexposing anybody, and the 1 hour format made us wanting more. It's still taking me some time to get used to the 2 hour formats. Woodchopper 467. Definitely agree. I wish NXT would go back to the 1 hour format. 1 hour is perfect for NXT. The wrestlers felt more special at 1 hour. I agree. Nah, bro, NXT should move to Thursdays. The once again rebranded Impact Wrestling will have Tuesday primetime spot on Access TV. Thursdays is pretty much open for NXT, plus NXT UK is already airing on Thursdays anyway on the network. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of you agree with me. On this, and it's very difficult to feel any other way but indifferent towards NXT. And it also feels, on top of the 1 hour format being missed and making the show special, I feel like, and this is a good thing, this is one of the good things, I feel like Triple H put his absolute best foot forward with that first NXT show on the USA Network, that takeover-like special on USA Network. And look at the show that he produced, and then look at the ratings that were garnered from that show. He wanted so badly, or Vince, I should say, because I still believe that if you ask Triple H what he really wants to do, he would never move to 2 hours, and he doesn't want to be live on the USA Network. He wants to be back at Full Sail 1 hour, doing his own thing on the WWE Network. This is all Vince. This is a Vince ego-driven maneuver. Even with that show, they put so much into that show, and they still got their ass kicked by AEW. And I feel like after that show, NXT is not really pushing themselves to put on a takeover. They shouldn't. Just for the simple fact that if they do, the takeovers aren't really going to mean anything. And they are everything to WWE. Don't take that luster and that greatness away from TakeOver. You can't do that every week. Which makes me worry about AEW. How many weeks do they have in reserve to put on a great show like they've been doing? You know, they're going to run out eventually. They're going to run through everything eventually. Then what are they going to do? That's what I think Triple H's mentality is right now. That was great for the first episode. And then they got their ass kicked. So I feel like Triple H is going back and doing what he's always done with NXT. And that is just be WWE's, I don't want to say third brand because they are, or a developmental brand because they're not a developmental brand, but he's going back to the basics. He's going back with NXT to what brought them to the interest of everybody. It is just NXT. It's not trying to compete. I don't see any sense of urgency from NXT to compete with AEW. I don't. After that first show, after they got their ass kicked, and then the second week, the ratings dipped even lower, I feel like Triple H is just going back to the bare basics of NXT. But then you got the looming 2 hour format that I feel takes away somewhat from the overall show. I never wanted this myself. I'm so over the Wednesday night bullshit. I don't even sit here and compare the shows like other goons in the community. I just miss my NXT, man. I really do. You can't have 2 hours. You can't have 2 hours and then just pick one segment or two segments out of the entire show and just build storyline-wise for that. We are now about 4 weeks away from TakeOver War Games, and still nothing. Still nothing. At this point, we would have been knee-deep in the build. Seriously, we would have been knee-deep in the build where War Games would have been already assembled, and nothing is assembled yet. Again, I mentioned this last week. Nothing is assembled. I miss the 1 hour format, man. I feel like NXT is losing its appeal, and you can even watch the show and see that. You get a sense of that. And I do agree that being in Full Sail, this is what killed the aura of NXT. The fact that you went live and the fact that you went to compete with AEW, you're watching all these big, just unbelievable crowds in AEW everywhere they go. And they're loud and they're vibrant and they're invested. And they're thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. It's not a fucking stadium filled with 20,000 people, but you get a collective of 7,000, 8,000 people in a venue, and they're screaming like they were in Philadelphia last night, and then you watch NXT, It's going to damage NXT just by visual and sound alone. WWE moving NXT live has ultimately killed the mystique of Full Sail University to a point where they have to get out. They have to get out. Then at that point, then we're going to start dissecting. Okay, you're moving to a large venue. What is that going to mean for the takeover shows? Is every show going to be like a takeover show? Are people going to go out there and watch 2 hours live of NXT every single week for their weekly television show? I don't know, man. The weeks go on. Every week has gone by. And I don't want to say my interest is declining in NXT because I still love NXT more so than I do Raw and SmackDown. I will always love what Triple H is doing with NXT. But I feel such an indifference right now where normally I would watch NXT for 1 hour and I would be excited. And then now, especially in the last 2 weeks, I feel like if I missed a show, and this has never happened to me before with NXT, if I missed a show in the last 2 weeks, meaning last week and this week, if I missed either one of these shows, I wouldn't have felt bad. If I missed doing a review the last 2 weeks, I wouldn't have felt bad. Now, I don't know if you guys feel the same way as me, but hopefully this is something that passes, and I hope that NXT can get on with what they do best. And maybe there is a method to Triple H's madness. I don't know. The fact that we're seeing all these talents and all these matches that ultimately mean nothing, hopefully they do. Hopefully something's going to come out of this. Hopefully they're building. Hopefully they're getting new names that you never seen of from the fans' perspective and the fans catch on to that new talent. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all over the place. I just feel this indifference towards NXT that I wish I wasn't feeling right now. And AEW, it's not even the AEW effect. I'm not hyping AEW. I still get the bullshit from people. Oh, AEW, JD's an AEW cocksucker. He's trying to get a job. He's on Tony Khan's payroll. He's a dick rodder. All this bullshit, right? AEW is not even, like, a great show. It's good. It's good. You even see and feel the hype of AEW kind of slowly going away, And it's just going to be there on Wednesday night for us to watch. And then we're going to become zombies. It's going to become part of our ritual every Wednesday, AEW's not breaking grounds. They're not blowing anybody away. But the best way for me to put it is AEW is doing NXT better than NXT. If that makes any sense to you. AEW is embodying what old NXT used to embody. And now NXT is just there. That's the best way for me to put it. I wish I didn't feel that way. We're going to go over the show briefly. Again, there's not much that happened last night. There really is not much that happened as far as storyline goes. Yes, we got the North American Championship being decided next week. Yes, we got Ciampa making his illustrious and glorious return. Man, he looks fantastic to NXT. I missed him so much. The show missed him. Full Sail missed him. It's just great to see him back. He was there. Outside of that, what else happened? Not much. We're going to go over the show. Last night was a good show, but those are my feelings on NXT, and we'll get right into it in just a little bit, guys. Very quickly, make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. It's also a great way to not only interact with me during these live shows on Monday. Oh my goodness. I'm not all myself yet, man. I've only had 1 cup of coffee yet. I need 2 more to operate like myself. Monday. It's a new fucking day of the week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I live tweet during these shows. So make sure you guys follow me on social media. Not only is it a great way to interact with me during these shows, but it's a great way to keep up to date on the channel as well. So it's a great way to keep yourself notified. Oh, look, JD uploaded a new video. He's got a tweet out. Let's go and watch it. It's a great way to keep yourself notified. And also on Instagram, same at JD from NY206. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel as well, including Off the Script from this past weekend, Monday Night Raw, AEW Off the Script Elite. That was on Tuesday, and AEW Dynamite. If you guys want my thoughts on Dynamite and the main event of Chris Jericho versus Darby Allin for the AEW World Championship, that is on the channel right now. Go and check that out. Everything you need is going to be linked down in the description of this very video. And if you want to show some extra appreciation, Patreon is always there. Shout out to my Patreons. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And the podcast today is brought to you by the one, the only, Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys, for just listening to me today, right here on Off the Script for NXT, you guys are going to get 30 days free of their service, and that includes one free audiobook of your choice. The best part is, when you sign up, you're not going to be billed. You're going to get 30 days, one free audiobook of your choice, over 200,000 choices for you to choose from. And if you don't like Audible, if you feel like Audible's not for you, you guys can cancel at any time in that 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. A lot of wrestling-related stuff on there, guys. Shawn Michaels, Lex Luger, Chris Jericho, Terry Funk, Justin Roberts, Jim Ross, Daniel Bryan, DDP, Dusty Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. The list goes on and on. Get Audible, support the podcast. It's a great way to spend your free time, whether you're on your way to work or just doing chores around the house, man. Audible has got you covered. Once again, use our link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. No better way to start NXT off this week than Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa makes his return after 7 months. He's back in the ring, and my goodness, man, he looks absolutely amazing. I've said it once, and I will continue to say it. The man was so missed on this show. I love Ciampa. I think he brings so much to NXT, and a void was just obvious with his absence. I love that he's back. He looks great. I'm so happy he's back on NXT. Crowd loved it. He is no longer the Sicilian psychopath that we all loved and fell in love with as a heel, the best heel in the business. Before he got hurt, he is now a clear-cut babyface here on NXT, and it makes sense because how could you boo this man after watching his documentary on WWE's YouTube channels and social media platforms? How could you boo this man watching his journey to get back to 100% and get back into the groove of things on NXT? And being that Adam Cole right now owns that number one heel slot on the show, it makes perfect sense for Tommaso Ciampa to come back for his baby, a.k.a. Goldie. So the story is there, and I can't wait to see what happens. He went one-on-one with Angel Garza. This is somebody that I would love to see more of. I think Angel Garza has it. I love his cockiness. I love his pompousness, if that's a word. I love his entire demeanor. I love his attitude. I even loved how he knows he's the shit. And there was a female sitting aisleway side, and he goes over to her and he kisses her right on the cheek during his ring entrance. He knows he's the shit, and I love it. More Angel Garza, please, on this show. Bell rang, chanting, "Ciampa is gonna kill you," does Full Sail University. So this one was pretty academic. Like, you knew who was gonna win this match last week when it was announced. You all thought, well, Ciampa's not losing that one. And this wasn't even a showcase for Angel Garza at all. This was just prime meat for Ciampa to devour in his return on NXT. I'd like to see more of Angel Garza in a way that builds him up as well, not just to put other people over. The highlight of this match was when Garza did his signature, "Let me take my pants off and have all the ladies scream for me" in Full Sail. He took his pants off, and clearly this angered Tommaso Ciampa because he threw, Garza did, the pants at Ciampa. Why would you do such a thing? Why would you do such a thing? So Garza sends Ciampa out to the floor. He nailed a suicide dive. Back in the ring, Garza nails a missile dropkick. Fans are chanting for Garza as he's posing in the middle of the ring with his fucking pants off. Ciampa comes right back, unloads. Garza then dropped in the corner by Ciampa. Delivers a bunch of offense. Ciampa runs and charges at him with a devastating knee. Sends Garza to the outside. Garza rolls to the outside. He gets out of harm's way. Ciampa at this point takes the pants, which are the insignia of the Mexican flag. Ciampa takes his pants and he places Garza's pants on the bottom turnbuckle and he starts stomping on the pants as if they were actually Angel Garza. Ciampa then goes to the opposite corner and delivers a running knee that he just delivered to Garza on Garza's pants. Mauro Ranallo says, Ciampa has become unhinged. Did we expect anything less from Tommaso Ciampa? So Garza rolls back into the ring, right? So Ciampa takes the pants. Garza stands on the apron, throws the pants at Garza. Garza is leaning into the ring via the middle rope, and Widow's Bell. We got a Hangman's DDT from Tommaso Ciampa, and that was pretty much it. Widow's Bell for the win. 1, 2, 3. Tommaso Ciampa, in very academic fashion, beats Angel Garza in his return match after 7 months being away with a neck injury. After the match, Ciampa is in the ring. He was standing there, just eating it up from Full Sail. He's ready to leave the ring, and then out comes Undisputed Era. All 4 of them come out wielding their championship gold. They march to ringside, so they're all surrounding the ring like a pool of bloodthirsty sharks. Ciampa is in the middle of the ring. He goes to grab a steel chair. He sits in the middle of the ring with his crutch, his baby, and they just stand there. Undisputed Era just stands there. Kyle O'Reilly then walks over through the crowd, and he walks right over to Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and Beth Phoenix at commentary. He hands Mauro Ranallo a USB drive. Yes, at this moment, Kyle O'Reilly wanted tech tips on how to clean out his PC. So, we got this USB drive handed to Mauro Ranallo, and Mauro didn't know what to think of it. So we go to commercial break, and that was pretty much it. Mauro says we'll get this approved by the truck and see what's on this USB drive that Kyle O'Reilly just handed me. They go to commercial break. Back from commercial break, Mauro says the USB stick from the Undisputed Era has been cleared for viewing, and the video is showing the Undisputed Era backstage. Adam Cole is there with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. There seems to be a production truck backstage at Full Sail University, and in the distance, Roddy is seen walking towards what looks to be a Velveteen Dream downed and unconscious. So Roderick Strong is talking trash on the Velveteen Dream as he lays there wasted and says, "This is what you get for getting in my way." Cole says the same thing will happen to Finn Balor and Tommaso Ciampa if they both become a problem. The Undisputed Era walks off with the Dream laid out. And then Kyle O'Reilly looks into the camera one last time and says, "Dream over." So that was pretty much it. I like it. Now, I don't know if Velveteen Dream is actually legitimately hurt. It looks like he might be, being that they did this after they promoted a North American Championship match for next week, and he might not have been cleared, so they did a storyline angle to take him out of that match, and then NXT, like they usually do, they make good of a negative situation and turn it into a positive. And that's exactly what they did tonight, which you and I found out later in the show. But the Velveteen Dream is out for now of the North American Championship match, and at this point in the show, we need a challenger for Roderick Strong next week on NXT. Moving on from that, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan versus Imperium. I gotta say it every single time, and Imperium has the best entrance and the best, I would say, theme song right now in all of WWE. Absolutely majestic. I love everything about it. I love the team of Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner. They are absolutely brilliant. They are the NXT version of Sheamus and Cesaro, but a lot better. And they're treated a lot better as well. I love Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. Their offense is very explosive, especially Oney Lorcan's. They work so well together. They got that underdog fighting spirit that a babyface tag team is, it just embodies. They both embody that underdog, come from behind, Cinderella, babyface team. I think they work great together. And Imperium is just so fluid and so great at everything that they do. So this makes for a good match. The one thing I'm thinking about while watching these two teams is this could be, if WWE wants to venture down this road somewhere in the future, this could be a future NXT Tag Team Championship title program, and I would be okay with that, because I thought these two teams worked very well together. So, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch here, they were getting beat down, and then they go to commercial break. Then we get back from commercial break. Bartel has Burch grounded, Burch with a jawbreaker, Burch trying to get out of the grasp of Imperium, makes the hot tag to Oney Lorcan. Oney Lorcan is such a great hot tag. Like I said, his offense is very explosive. Eichner also tags in from Bartel. Birch goes to work on Eichner, nails 2 dives, the second one taking down both opponents. Lorcan leaps out and takes both of them out again. So, offensive, just explosiveness here by Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, the 1-2 combination. So they start doing some double team moves to Eichner. Eichner kicks out after a near fall. Bartel stops a double team move and pulls his partner to safety out on the floor. Eichner and Lorcan then go at each other, unloading chops in the middle of the ring. Lorcan ends up crashing into Bartel, sending him into the apron, or off the apron rather. Lorcan and Eichner go at it. Lorcan hits a suplex on Eichner while Bartel dives out to take Birch down. All over the place here at the end of this thing. One of the prettiest moves in NXT is Fabian Eichner when he does his double springboard moonsault. Absolutely a thing of beauty. He does it from the apron on top of Oney Lorcan, but Lorcan kicks out at 2. Eichner couldn't believe it. At this point, Lorcan and Eichner trade more shots. Bartel tags in. Lorcan fights both of them off with chops. Imperium with a big spine buster kick combination. They then hit the top rope, European uppercut into the power bomb combination. The European bomb, I think they call it, or Nigel called it. The European bomb. Bartel covers Lorcan for the win, and that was pretty much it. Imperium gets a very, very impressive victory over the 1-2 combination of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. And the one thing I mentioned in the beginning is, yes, we're getting great wrestling action, but I hope at the end of the day, while all is said and done, that these matches mean something. This match should mean something to Imperium. This match should move Imperium slowly up the ranks to hopefully get an NXT Tag Team title opportunity against the Undisputed Era. Because right now, Undisputed Era don't really have any solid competition in NXT. I thought it was going to be Fandango and Tyler Breeze, Fandango. We got Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. They lost here. Imperium is there. Street Profits are on Monday Night Raw. Unfortunately, there is nobody else. Who else is there? So it's going to be very interesting to see who NXT lines up as the next challengers for Undisputed Era. Or it could be a sense of, like I mentioned, the last couple weeks, War Games could see their 2 dominating factions go at it in War Games. Could be Undisputed Era versus Imperium. But where is the build for that? If you wanted to start that, then something should have been teased already. So we'll see what happens, but Imperium gets a big win, like I said. Hopefully this win means something for both Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. We got a video package of Johnny Gargano, because Johnny Gargano is NXT for life. He says he will do whatever it takes to be the NXT champion again. So we'll see what happens. But that is reserved right now for Tommaso Ciampa. But if you mean to tell me that Johnny wants to get back into title contention and we see some Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor action, sign me up. Sign me up. I'll take it any day of the week. Twice on Sunday. Io Shirai versus Caden Carter. This one was pretty academic. Io is fantastic. We all know this. Someone, I have to mention this. I have to mention the stupidity, man. Someone told me in the comment section of my AEW Dynamite review that AEW's women's division has more depth than NXT's women's division. I proceeded to delete his comment and ban him from ever commenting on my channel again. Folks, there is a fine line between opinion and stupidity. That is borderline stupidity. Please do not ever address me ever again. Io Shirai wins here with a moonsault. Like I said, very academic. And Io's moonsault. Oh my goodness, man. This was the best moonsault that she's hit, I think, on someone to win a match. This was fucking beautiful. Io Shirai wins. Big moonsault for the win on Caden Carter. After the name change, you got to get reacquainted with her. She was a fan favorite as Lacey Lane in the Mae Young Classic. Now they changed her name. Now people are kind of indifferent to her. So WWE's got to build her back up and get people familiarized and, you know, really in the know about Caden Carter. So there you go. Io Shirai wins after the match. Shirai stands tall. She takes the microphone and she's asking for a microphone in a very nasty way. The Joshi Judas, like Morrow says. I love that. They chant Io at Full Sail. Shirai says it's not Rhea Ripley, it's not Bianca Belair, it's not NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler. It's all about Io. And then out comes, because you mentioned Rhea Ripley, out comes Rhea Ripley. Rhea enters the ring and has a face-off with Shirai in the middle of the ring. Shirai goes to speak, but Rhea takes the mic away from Io Shirai. Rhea says last week, Belair ran her mouth, and next week, Rhea gets to put her back in her place. But if Shirai ever puts Rhea's name in her mouth again, she will have no problem shutting Shirai up. And then Io Shirai proceeded to yell at Rhea Ripley in Japanese and then proceed to leave the ring. That was it. Hey, if we're going to get an Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley match, I'm all for it as well. And again, going back to that comment, AEW has more depth than the NXT women's division. Really? You just mentioned it here with Shayna Bazsler, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair. I mean, just by those 4 alone. What are you trying to tell me? Stupidity, folks. Stupidity exists. Please don't spread it. It is very contagious. Kathy Kelly is with NXT General Manager William Regal because Roderick Strong wanted to be Roderick Strong. He wanted to be undisputed against the Velveteen Dream. She asked about the Velveteen Dream after he was attacked by the Undisputed Era earlier in the evening. Regal says Dream won't be able to compete next week in the match against the North American champion Roderick Strong, and it might be a long time before he does return. So we got to find out what's wrong with Dream, if he is legitimately injured or if this is just storyline. I don't know why they would keep him out, being that they're on Wednesday night competing with AEW. Dream is a focal point and a face of NXT, so he might legitimately be hurt. We'll find that out. Regal announces that Roderick Strong thought he was slick. Strong will still defend, his North American Championship next Wednesday, and now the winner of the Keith Lee Dominik Dijakovic match will become the number 1 contender for the North American Championship. Great decision. Turning a negative into a positive and giving opportunity to 2 guys that I think deserve an opportunity in Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Speaking of which, we go right into that match. This, folks, is a rubber match between the two. They're both tied at 1-1. 1 win, 1 loss, and there is a third match that went to a double countout. So we got 1 win, 1 loss, and a double countout. This is the 4th and deciding match in this series of matches between Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. I was excited about this, but my excitement, I gotta be honest with you, was kind of declining after the first 3 matches. First match was exciting. It was 4 minutes. It set the table for what was going to happen in the next match and in the next match. The first match that they had legitimately was them trying to pull out all the stops, trying to recreate what they did on the indies. Then the second match tried to top the first match. I mentioned last week, when we talked about the preview of this match, what are they going to do? I even mentioned it the last time they fought, at the end of the match, when I was talking about the match in general. What are these guys going to do to top themselves in the next match? Because you know there was going to be another match, and here we got it. What were these guys going to do to top themselves after they legitimately pulled out everything, plus some, in their arsenal? I don't know. Is it going to be a sense of creativity? Are they going to top what they did? Or are we going to see 2 guys that eclipse 650 pounds combined try and act like Humberto Carrillo and fucking Lince Dorado? I love the fact that they're 2 big guys and they're trying to do things differently that you don't normally see. I always appreciate that. I love a big man that could fucking fly around like a cruiserweight. I love it. But the fact that we've seen it 4 times, it does start to get a little stale. And they've done everything. How many times can you see someone like this in a match? Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic do a fucking top rope Spanish fly. How many times can you see them jump off the top rope and do a fucking Canadian destroyer? You know, it's great to see, but at some point you got to say enough is enough. You know, 305 live is a thing. But the more you, again, it's just like the 2 hours that we talked about. The more you do it, the more it doesn't feel special. If they did this once and that was it and we didn't see it for 6 months and they cross each other's paths maybe as top tier talent, maybe now for a championship, it would be a little bit more special. But they blew all of their load legitimately before anything really got to the climax. And I don't like that. I don't really like that. Now, with all that squared away, again, I was asking myself, what were they going to do differently? The psychology of this match was, to me, my favorite of all the matches that they had in NXT. Because they picked a body part this time. and they built the story and the match around that body part, which was Dijakovic's arm. His left arm hanging down off from its socket the entire match, or at least he was holding and attending to his arm the entire match, which was a great story because at that point you're telling a story. Dijakovic is fighting Keith Lee, who's 300 fucking plus pounds with one arm, and everything that Dijakovic does from this point on with the injured arm and him selling the arm and telling the story of the arm through the 15 minutes that these guys were going on in the ring. It makes everything that much more impactful when he does pull off something. So I appreciated the difference in psychology here with the arm injury, whereas the other matches were just two big guys trying to go out there and prove a point and do flips and dives and fucking blow everybody away with big move after big move after big move. The psychology in this match is something that I appreciated more so than what we watched in the previous encounters. So, with the arm, it all started with Keith Lee doing a big second rope splash on the arm. That was pretty much it. That took Dominik Dijakovic's arm out of the match. So, towards the end of this thing, they are fighting. They are on the outside. They bring it back into the ring. And they start trading shots. Lee in the corner with a rolling elbow to Dijakovic in the corner. Lee charges, runs right into a cyclone kick off the ropes from Dijakovic. 2 count only. They fight back to their feet in the middle of the ring. Dijakovic is calling for a finish, but Lee blocks the suplex. Dijakovic blocks Lee. Lee keeps holding Dijakovic in a suplex position. Now, this is a test of strength, folks. They were going and fighting for a vertical suplex. Lee was going for a vertical suplex. Dijakovic got up there, and then Lee couldn't get him. Dijakovic fought back down. But when Lee brought Dijakovic back down in the vertical suplex, Dijakovic's feet never hit the floor. Keith Lee continued to hold Dijakovic up off the ground in the suplex position, tried to muscle him up, back down, tried to muscle him up, back down, but Dijakovic's feet never hit the ground to give Keith Lee a breather and a rest. So at the end, it looks so much more impressive because Keith Lee muscled him up in the suplex position, and again, Dijakovic's feet never hit the ground in the 3 attempts that he attempted this vertical suplex. Really, really, really impressive stuff. Goes for a 2 count. Lee climbs up top, but Dijakovic super kicks him from the mat. Dijakovic tries to slam Lee to the mat, but his left arm is hurting. Continuing to sell the arm, which I appreciated. Dijakovic gets Lee in an electric chair position. Lee counters. This is the big spot of the match. This was the big spot of the match, whereas they did a Canadian Destroyer in the last match. The match before that, they did a top rope Spanish Fly. I was scared for Dijakovic's life after this fucking move. I had no idea this was coming, but Dijakovic gets absolutely planted with a reverse Hurricane Rana by Keith Lee. Yes, just envision with these two men, the size of them, Keith Lee delivering a fucking reverse Hurricane Rana on Dominik Dijakovic. He's on his shoulders, flips backwards, Dijakovic's head and neck planted into the mat. I don't know how he's feeling today, but I can assume that he's hurting, because that looked fucking ridiculous. His head and neck planted with the weight of Keith Lee? I don't know if moves like that should be attempted, man. I'm sorry. That was devastating. Everyone at this point going crazy. Chance of NXT. Fight forever. Dominik Dijakovic unloads with elbows on the top. Dijakovic is up. I don't know how he's up, but he was up. He goes for Hurricane Rana off the top rope. I don't know what he was looking for. I don't know what he was trying to do. It looked like Dijakovic was trying, or maybe in theory wanted to go for Hurricane Rana, but he didn't even try to attempt it. He got Lee up there. He had him in a Hurricane Rana position, but he just leaned back. Keith Lee caught him. And he looked to get the upper hand. And at this point, he went for whatever he was going off the top rope. And then Roderick Strong comes in and suddenly causes a disqualification, hitting both guys with the North American title. And that was it. Roddy came down thinking, all right, Regal, you want to make this match a number 1 contender. I'm going to interject myself in this thing. And we're not going to have a North American Championship match. So, ha, I got one over on the GM, William Regal. So it's a no contest. It's a no contest. They stay tied 1-1. So we got a no DQ, we got a win and loss by both men, and now a no contest. So after the bell, Strong is celebrating like he just got one over on the GM. William Regal comes out and announces that, Roddy, you think you're slick. You think you're slick, but I'm going to fuck you over now. Roderick Strong will defend his title Wednesday still. And instead of fighting either Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee, it will now be a triple threat match. So Roddy will defend against both Dijakovic and Keith Lee for the North American Championship. So at this point, I was like, man, Roddy fucked up. Instead of fighting one-on-one, now you're getting both. So at that point, I thought he fucked up. But how stupid is Roderick Strong? Not really. Because if you think about it, who would you rather go up against? Would you rather go up against a Keith Lee one-on-one or a Dominik Dijakovic one-on-one? Or would you rather have a triple threat match that has no rules, it's no DQ, and the Undisputed Era could help Roddy retain the title in this no DQ environment against Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic? So I thought that Roddy looked stupid for doing this. Now he's got to fight two men instead of one. But now he's got the rules kind of working, with him instead of against him, because Undisputed Era can interject themselves at any which time in that match. So it looks like Roddy tried to get one over on Regal. Regal tried to get one over on Roddy, but Undisputed Era and Roddy are going to get one back over on Regal next week in the North American Championship. So we'll see what happens. Or maybe this is a tease. Maybe after all this battling that Dijakovic and Keith Lee have done, maybe we get Undisputed Era and them going on into War Games. Maybe two of the four on the opposite team opposing Undisputed Era is Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, that they have battled, and now they have to put their differences aside and become a tag team. And now they go into the War Games match and battle it out with the Undisputed Era. I don't know. Could be something. Who their two tag team partners will be, I don't know. But we'll figure that out. Maybe that's where they're going with this. I don't know. I got War Games on the mind because we're 4 weeks away from War Games. So I'm just trying to figure out where WWE is going with that match heading into Survivor Series weekend. So we got a triple threat match, North American Championship happening next week. Roddy, Keith Lee, and Dominik Dijakovic. Back from break, we see Undisputed Era trying to yell at William Regal. He ignores everybody. He ignores every single one of them, walks through the back. He hears them yelling, "Fuck you guys." Not even paying attention. He walks right out of Full Sail University without saying a word to any one of them. Gotta love William Regal. Matt Riddle versus Bronson Reed. This was hard-hitting. It was quick and a no-doubter. Matt Riddle wins. He wins with I don't know what he won with. I don't know if he won with a knee. I forgot to put it in my notes because at this point I was kind of losing interest in the show. We got a final flash knee to the face of Bronson Reed. They go on with Reed getting more offense here. Reed looks to put Riddle away, but Riddle blocks. Back and forth between the two. Riddle drops Reed on his face, I believe, with an implant driver, and that was it. Matt Riddle wins. Matt Riddle seems to be floating in the middle of nowhere. Now, if WWE really wanted to make a splash with the draft, which was a complete failure, Matt Riddle would have been drafted to SmackDown Live, and we would have got some sense of legitimacy and fun and unpredictability on Friday night, because instead of Cain Velasquez, I would much rather Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar go at it for the WWE Champion. Not at fucking Crown Fools, but at WrestleMania. But maybe that will happen somewhere in between now and WrestleMania. But I doubt it because this is WWE, and if it makes sense, forget it. Throw it in the trash. Matt Riddle beats Bronson Reed. Gotta worry about Matt Riddle. Gotta wonder about Matt Riddle. What is he going to do after he failed at capturing the NXT Championship against Adam Cole 2 weeks ago? Moving on, Teagan Nox. Teagan Nox versus Taynara. And I love Teagan Nox, man. She is awesome. And I'm happy to see her back. She very visibly has 2 knee braces on her knees. She looks great. She was moving around as if nothing ever happened. The knee braces might be a little bit too much for some people to look at. Like, look at her. She looks like a fucking android. But there is something about her. There's a certain fondness watching Teagan Nox wear the 2 knee braces and just overcome all of this terrible shit that's happened to her, man. She looked fantastic. And I can't wait to see what WWE... I know Triple H loves her. I know that NXT loves her. She's going to be pushed big time on this brand, and I can't wait to start seeing her development. She is very, very good. Taynara this was Taynara's best match, I think, in NXT so far. This was the best that she's looked. Offense looked good. Offense looked crisp. It looked intense. But Teagan Nox wins here with a shining wizard, the shiniest of wizards, for the pin. But that is not even the best part of the match. The best part of the match is when, after the match was over, Kathy Kelly was at ringside wanting to get a very teary-eyed Teagan Nox's opinion and thoughts on what happened here. The comeback, her first match back at Full Sail, winning. Just the fans just welcoming her back. Tears in her eyes. You've seen the tears in her eyes. Out comes Dakota Kai. She comes running down the aisle, hugging her friend, part of Team Kick. Kathy Kelly didn't even get to ask the question. Out comes Shayna Bazsler with the horsewomen, Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. Bazsler has a microphone, and she's staring at Teagan Nox. She asks Teagan Nox if she wants to throw her name into the hat, and Teagan says yes, she does. Bazsler asks if that's a good idea. Bazsler says she could ask Dakota what it's like to be in the ring with her. Bazsler says Nox is running out of limbs to rehab. So Nox and Kai are talking trash. Teagan Nox says, well, give me a title shot. Give me a title shot and I'll show you in that ring, says Teagan Nox. Bazsler then hears this and says, you aren't even worthy of a title shot. You've done nothing to get a title shot. And you should call me when you actually do something here. And that's it. Shayna Baszler walks away. If you don't appreciate Shayna Baszler, you are a fool. Really. In a day and age where champions are looked at as fucking weak in WWE, where champions are looked like as cowards, where they're all talk and they back up nothing they say, here we have Shayna Baszler, who is the one champion in WWE that seeks out competition. Not the other way around. The champion's not hiding. She's not fucking waiting. She wants to legitimately break everybody. She seeks and she hunts as the champion. It's mind-boggling. It's such a different dynamic that I know you're not going to understand it. Because we're so conditioned on the main roster for our champions to be fucking flipping pancakes. Would you like an extra dose of syrup with that, Mr. Kingston? And Seth Rollins. God forbid this guy fucking goes out there and shows us he's a champion. He is a fucking vagina. He is a pussy. He's a pussy. Seriously. Brock Lesnar beat Rey Mysterio's son to an inch of his life a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins was interviewed by fucking Charlie Caruso. And he's like, well, you know, Brock Lesnar, he does what he wants. He's a beast, blah, 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 blah. I feel so bad for Rey Mysterio. Where the fuck were you helping Rey Mysterio? I feel so bad for Rey Mysterio. Let me go cower in my corner and fucking count my dollar bills because I gotta make fun of people on social media that I could buy a yacht and a house and a car and this and that. You fucking kidding me? Yeah, I got a bigger bank account than Will Ospreay. That's Seth Rollins. Sell out! What a joke! Shayna Baszler seeks out people. That's the way it should be done. You're confident in your ability. You're a champion. You exude that. Shayna does all that. You might not like her. She might not be your cup of tea. You might not like her in-ring style. The character that Shayna Baszler plays is brilliant. I love it. Teagan Nox, look out for her. She's going to be something special in NXT. Finn Balor. I thought he was going to be live in front of the audience. It would have been a nice touch on this show. Pre-recorded message from Finn Balor. He says, you know, the path that he's previously taken, you know, you come to a point in your life where you're at a crossroads. Did those steps take you to a good place, or did they darken your path? Balor says he has retraced his steps, and next week his future will be his past. I'm guessing he's going to be in the ring at Full Sail. We'll see what happens. They'll probably put him against fucking Angel Garza too and bury some more talent on this show. Boa versus Killian Dane. This was garbage. Who the fuck is Boa? Seriously. Who wants to see this guy? Killian Dane wins. Vader bomb, Vader bomb, Vader bomb. Then he applies his Wrath submission and manhandles Boa until he taps out. That was it. After the bell referee gets Dane to break the hold, we go to a cruiserweight package on Lio Rush. And Killian Dane is still at ringside. He's walking up the ramp. Out comes Pete Dunne for his match with Damien Priest. And Killian Dane, because Killian Dane's a fucking beast, he's jacking off and mouthing off to Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne's looking at him. They want to fight, right? You're not going to fucking talk shit to Pete Dunne and then he's just going to walk away. He's going to fucking blast you in the face with a right hand. He's going to break your fingers. So they square off on the aisleway. Referee's there holding him back. Pete Dunne takes Killian Dane's hand, does the finger break. Killian Dane walks away, walks back. Pete Dunne's looking at him like, whatever, you asked for it. The fuck you coming to me for? That's a match I like to see. I think that would be a great match between those two. Anyway, main event time. Pete Dunne versus Damien Priest. This was actually very good. This main event was very good. I wasn't really too sold on this being the main event, but man, this was a very good showcase for Damien Priest. Easily, well, it doesn't hurt that you're in the ring with Pete Dunne, but this was easily his best match, and it was definitely a test. Damien Priest has had a lot of quick matches, a lot of, very decisive victories. Mansoor and some other guys that they put him in the ring with, a bunch of nobodies, just to get his feet wet and showcase his talent and showcase his moveset. But it's a good test to see what this guy is capable of in the match that he could work. Pete Dunne is as good as it gets in WWE, so if you put on a great match with him, Damien Priest is on the right track and on the fast track to becoming a very, very, very good character in NXT, man. This was awesome. Damien Priest wins with a reckoning at the end of this match, and how we got to that is the following. Dunne went to the top. Priest nails a cyclone kick on Pete Dunne. Priest was climbing up, hits a big Frankensteiner. Priest then followed up with what he calls the South of Heaven, which is probably my favorite Slayer song of all time. That and Seasons in the Abyss. One of the two. Something about the title tracks, man. I love the title tracks. Dunne kicks out. Fans are chanting, this is awesome. Back and forth strikes. They go at each other in the middle of the ring like two fucking sluggers. Dunne gets the upper hand for a second, but Priest is gaining momentum here. Dunne with a big right hand. Priest fires back with a huge clothesline. Pete Dunne sold the shit out of it. Dunne counters the reckoning attempt. Priest blocks the bitter end. He rocks Dunne. Dunne counters again with an enziguri. Priest rocks Dunne again and springboards at him, but Dunne knocks him out of midair. So he went up to the second rope, did Priest. He went for a big enziguri kick or something. Don't know what he was going for. But Dunne counters with a huge forearm, knocks him right out of midair. Both superstars are down. Chants of NXT. Fans are chanting fight forever. I mean, it wasn't that great that they got to chant fight forever, but it was a great main event. Dunne is going to the top. Dunne goes for a moonsault. Priest gets the knees up. Dunne lands on his knees. Priest then goes for the finish, but Dunne grabs the fingers, slides out. Referee gets caught in between them. Jessica Carr, the referee, was the official in this match. They are in the corner. She is sandwiched between these two. So as she's moving Damien Priest out of the way, he kicks Pete Dunne at the same time below the belt and delivers a low blow. Fans are booing. She didn't see it. And Priest, I don't know how she could. You could throw a kick. You don't know where the fucking kick is going to land. The referees don't got eyes behind their head. So he kicked Pete Dunne. And the best part about this match was not the fucking tope that Damien Priest did over the top rope. It's not the hard-hitting aspect of both of these guys' arsenals and the fact that they gelled very well together. The best part of this match for me was the low blow and the fucking facial reaction on Damien Priest. This guy's face, after he realized that he kicked Pete Dunne below the belt and Pete Dunne went down like a sack of fucking potatoes. He knew the match was over. Damien Priest's face lit up like a fucking 4-year-old child on Christmas Day. He knew that this was it. Picked him up, delivered the reckoning, and that was it. This guy was smiling like he just got a fucking blowjob from a fucking top-tier porn star. Unbelievable. This guy is on his way to becoming one of the biggest things in NXT. They have so much invested in him right now. And I love the fact that they ended it this way because you don't want to job Pete Dunne out just very academically to Damien Priest. There's got to be a reason why he lost. And that was a great way to make Pete Dunne look strong because the fans are going to look at this. Oh, Pete Dunne got robbed. He should have won this match. He was on his way to winning. Damien Priest cheated, and he got the reckoning and got the upper hand on Pete Dunne. And I don't think that's the last time we're going to see this. That's an easy way to go the 50-50 booking route. But Damien Priest remains undefeated. They got a lot invested in him. I think he's going to be very good. This match showcased it. And I don't know whether Damien Priest, when we first seen him, came off like a babyface. And now as we start seeing him and we start getting familiar with him and we start seeing him grow and mature, I don't want him to be a babyface. I want him to be a heel. The character itself and his demeanor and his facial reactions and the way he speaks is heel. So I love what they're doing with Damien Priest. This was an awesome main event. But at the end of it all, let's cycle back to what I said in the beginning. The 2 hours for me is just not working right. I hope that changes. I really do. But I think after 5 weeks of watching NXT at 2 hours, I think that's a good enough time period for us to say it's just not working. The 1 hour made it feel so much special. I feel at 2 hours, there's a lot of filler, even though the filler is much better than anything else that we're seeing on WWE. But it's a lot of filler, and it just doesn't feel as special as it did at 1 hour. NXT is over with, guys. We'll be back here next week, as always, with the review. And we got a North American Championship match next week. Will Roddy get one over on Mr. Regal? We'll see what happens next week. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Also, follow me on social media, at JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And I will be back with Off the Script. We are going to talk Eric Bischoff. And I'm going to sit here and tell you exactly what I know you're expecting me to say. I told you so. I knew this was happening. I am not surprised that it's happening. And Eric Bischoff, he shouldn't feel 1 ounce of sadness about this. He's going to go right back and doing what he was doing before WWE. He's going to go back to Wyoming and do his 83 weeks and his podcast and say, fuck WWE. And we'll go over every aspect of why he was fired, when the roster found out, and why these excuses about him being terminated are so fucking stupid. I wish people were just a little bit more honest with their audience. We'll talk about that on Off the Script this weekend, so don't go anywhere. Much more content coming up on the channel. But again, hit that thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for joining me here for NXT, and I'll see you right back here for more content this weekend and Friday for Smackdown on Fox.